All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go through this bit by bit and show you exactly each step that creates this guy. So I'm just going to come in here and select this and delete it. And then I'm going to select this and delete it, and select that and delete it. And so the first thing I'm going to do is create a polar array in Rhino. So you can do array polar, right? And select the object. The first thing it wants is the center, so I'm going to use the center of this circle right here. There it is. And then it wants to know how many numbers. I'm just going to use 3. And then it wants to know how big of an angle, and I want to do the full 360, so I'm just going to hit enter and enter, and it's going to give me a little tile pattern here. So I'm just using my profile to create a pattern. You could alter it if you want to, but we're going to stick with this guy. And so what I want to do is come down here and just type in curve to actually grab that curve from Rhino and bring it into Grasshopper. So I'm just going to right click and set multiple curves and just come in here and just pick the curves, right? And hit enter. And now you'll see when I pick that curve, it's going to select all of those. And so now what I'm going to do is use a triangular grid. So under vector and grid here, vector and grid is triangular, right? So there's triangular. You could also triangular right there, right? And so what it wants is it wants a plane, a size, an extent, and an extent y. So I'm just going to pull out a couple of number sliders. So 0 dot dot, let's just do 10, right? And I'll Control C, Control V, and those will be my extents X and Y. So I'm just going to plug that into there. It's going to go red, right, because of the 0, but I'm just going to, if I pull these two up, right, it'll go away. And then the size here, we'll just use another number slider. So this one will be a little, this will be a number. So 0.00 dot dot, let's just do 3. Pull that up here. Again, plug it in. And let's pull it up to somewhere like 0.69. And then the plane is basically where it's going to start. Like right now, if I zoom out and go down, it's using 0, 0 as the plane. But what I want is I want this guy to end up here in this little square. So what I want to do in Rhino is I'm just going to do a point. And I'm going to place it right here. And then I'm going to get that point. So point. Pull it up here, and I'm going to set one point and pick that guy, right? And then I'm going to plug that into the plane, right? And so now I've got this plane. Let's see, the size probably could be bigger, right? And maybe this guy, you know, we've got 7 and 4. Maybe this even gets a little bigger, right? So what's going to happen now is if I take this point, I'm just going to Control C, Control V, is I'm going to get a whole series of points. Then I can take this curve here and place it on those points. So zoom in a little bit. And so how do we do that? Well, there's an Orient. So if we go to Orient, right, and I do a Control Alt left click, it's under Transformations, Euclidean, right? You can take the curve and put that in to the geometry, right? And now we need a source. So where's the center of that sort of curve? So the center of this whole thing. We could put a point in the center of that, but one thing that is useful to use is a bounding box. So if I go a bounding box right here, right? Let's go ahead and pull that up. All right, we can take this and put it into that guy, and it gives us a bounding box for each one of those. But if we right click on it, we can tell it to union the box. So I'm just going to union that box, and it's going to give us one big box, right? And then I can take the area of that box, which is going to give us a centroid. So I'm typing in area, and if I pull this box in, I'm now getting the perfect center of that whole thing. It doesn't, I mean, you can use whichever center you like, but it's just going to be a little bit of an offset depending on which one you use, right? So now what I can do is if I pull this geometry out, I can take this point and put it in the target, and I can take this centroid and put it in the source, and then the geometry is going into there. Now, we're having a little bit of an issue in that it's doing this weird kind of like multiple versions of stuff. Like that's not doing what we want it to do. So if I take a panel out and we look at the curve, it's giving us 3 curves, right? So that makes sense. And if I Control C, Control V this, if we look at the points, let me pull this guy in here. We can skip this guy for now. If we look at the points, it's actually a list of points, right? So what's happening is it's kind of taking these and running them through this, and you're getting different orientations. What you really want to do, so it's taking this one and running it through this, and then this one and running it through that, and then repeating itself kind of. So if you wanted something like that, that would be great, but we really just want the whole thing. So what we want to do is take all 3 of these and run them through every single point. So to do that, you're going to graft it. So if you graft it, it's now taking these 3 points and running them through every single one because they've been divided into a separate list, right? So you just kind of get used to grafting and flattening. So that's that first part. We'll get to the second part after this.